I thought I found my forever love when he looked into my eyes and said I was his
I've been waiting
queen.
for someone like you my whole life.
I feel like I can finally breathe with you.
I'm never letting you go.
But queens don't pay for their own crowns, do they?
I thought this defined me, but my value comes from within.
This is my story of how I learned the difference between being loved and being used. Before we dive into this journey together, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you'll want to hear every word of what I'm about to share. And if my story resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. My name is Keisha, and I need to tell you something that's been weighing on my heart for months. I'm 32 now, and I've learned some hard lessons about love, money, and what it really means to know your worth. This story isn't easy for me to share, but I know there's another woman out there who needs to hear it. Growing up, it was just me and my mama. She worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, and I watched her sacrifice everything for our little family. I promised myself I'd never struggle like that. I'd work hard, get my education, and build something solid for myself. And I did exactly that. By 28, I had my marketing degree, a good job at a downtown firm, and my own apartment. Not fancy, but mine. I was proud of what I'd built. I met Devin at a networking event downtown. Picture this, I'm standing by the refreshment table, checking my phone, when this tall, handsome man walks up with the most confident smile I'd ever seen. He was wearing a sharp suit, had this deep voice that made me stop scrolling through my emails, and when he said, "You look like you're too interesting to be standing here alone," I felt something I hadn't felt in years. That flutter in your stomach that makes you forget everything else. We talked for 2 hours straight. He told me about his consulting business, how he was expanding into new markets, how he loved that I was ambitious and independent. He made me feel seen in a way I'd never experienced. When he asked for my number, I didn't even hesitate. For the first time in my adult life, I felt like I'd met someone who was on my level. Our first date was beautiful. He took me to this nice restaurant downtown, and we talked about everything: our dreams, our families, our goals. He seemed so put together, so sure of himself. He told me about his business plans, how he was investing in real estate, how he wanted to build something lasting. I was impressed. Finally, a man with ambition who matched mine, but when the check came, something shifted. He patted his pockets, looked genuinely confused, and said, "Baby, I'm so embarrassed. I think I grabbed the wrong wallet. Can you cover this? I'll get you back tomorrow." The way he said it with such sincere embarrassment made me feel bad for him. Of course I paid. We all make mistakes, right? The next day, he sent me flowers with a note that said, "Thank you for being so understanding. You're already proving you're different from other women." I felt special, chosen, like I'd passed some kind of test. Our second date, he picked me up in this nice car, nothing too flashy, but clean and well-maintained. We went to a movie, and again, when we got to concessions, he had another story about his credit card being declined because of some bank error. "These banks don't understand entrepreneurs," he said, shaking his head. "They see multiple income streams and get confused." It sounded reasonable. I'd heard similar stories from other business owners. By our third date, I was falling hard. Devin had this way of making me feel like I was the most important person in the world. He'd text me good morning every day, call me during lunch breaks, and when we were together, he gave me his complete attention. He'd hold my hand and talk about our future like it was already decided. "When we move in together," he'd say, "or our kids are going to be so beautiful and smart." I'd never had a man talk about forever with me before. 3 months in, he started opening up about his struggles. His business was going through a rough patch. Some clients hadn't paid him yet, and he was waiting on a big contract to come through. "The hardest part about being an entrepreneur," he'd tell me, "is that you can have money coming in, but the timing doesn't always match your bills." He seemed so frustrated, so stressed about it. My heart went out to him. "Baby," he said one evening as we sat on my couch, "I hate to ask this, but could you help me with my car payment this month? It's just $400, and once this contract comes through next week, I'll pay you back with interest." The way he looked at me with such vulnerability and trust made me feel needed, important, like I was his partner, not just his girlfriend. I gave him the money. And you know what? He was so grateful. He held me tight and whispered, "This is why I love you. You see the big picture. You understand that sometimes we have to support each other to win together." Those words made me feel like we were a team. Like I was investing in our future, not just helping him out. The next month, it was his rent. The month after that, he needed help with a business expense. Every time, he had a reasonable explanation, and every time, he made me feel like I was being the supportive partner he needed. "Most women wouldn't understand," he'd say. "They'd just see the money going out, not the investment in what we're building together." But here's the thing I didn't realize then: I was the only one investing. I was the only one building. Every time I helped him, my savings got smaller, but his promises got bigger. He'd talk about the expensive restaurant he was going to take me to once his business took off, the vacation we'd go on, the ring he was going to buy me, but somehow that future kept getting pushed further away. My friends started asking questions. "Girl, why are you always paying when y'all go out?" My best friend Tanya asked me one day, "And why don't we ever see him anymore? You used to bring guys around, let us meet them." I found myself getting defensive. "Y'all don't understand our relationship," I'd say. "Devin's building something and I'm supporting him, that's what partners do." But their questions planted seeds in my mind. When I'd bring up concerns to Devin, he'd get this hurt look in his eyes. "Baby, I thought you believed in me," he'd say. "I thought you understood that love means being there for each other during the hard times." Then he'd flip it. "Are you saying you don't trust me? After everything I've shared with you, after how vulnerable I've been?" I'd end up apologizing for doubting him. He was good at making me feel guilty for having completely normal concerns about our relationship. He'd remind me of all the emotional support he gave me, how he listened to my work stress, how he made me feel beautiful and valued. "I may not be able to contribute financially right now," he'd say, "but I give you something more valuable than money. I give you love." 8 months into our relationship, I was stressed all the time. My credit cards were maxed out from helping him with various emergencies. My savings account, which I'd spent years building, was almost empty. I was working overtime to try to make ends meet, and the stress was affecting my work performance. My boss had started making comments about my focus and energy levels. Devin, meanwhile, always seemed to have money for things that mattered to him. He'd get his hair cut at an expensive barbershop. He'd buy new clothes. He'd go out with his friends and come home talking about the bottles they'd bought at the club. When I'd ask how he could afford these things when he couldn't help with our dinner dates, he'd say, "Baby, a man has to maintain his image. How else am I going to land these big contracts?" The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. I was at his place, which I'd been helping him pay rent for, when his phone rang. He stepped outside to take the call, but I could hear him through the thin walls. He was talking to someone named Jessica, and he was using the same smooth voice he'd used on me that first night. "Baby, I just need a little help with this business investment," he was saying. "You know I'm good for it." My heart stopped. I sat there on his couch, surrounded by furniture I'd helped him buy, wearing a dress I'd charged to my credit card for our last date, and I realized I wasn't special. I wasn't his partner. I was just one of his sources of income. When he came back inside, I confronted him. "Who was that on the phone?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked genuinely confused by my question. "Just a business associate," he said. "Why?" But I pressed him. "It sounded like you were asking her for money the same way you ask me." His whole demeanor changed. The loving, vulnerable Devin disappeared and someone else took his place, someone cold and calculating. "Are you checking up on me now?" he asked. "Are you going through my phone, listening to my conversations? That's not what we agreed on, Keisha." I stared at him. "What we agreed on, Devin, I've been supporting you for months. I've emptied my savings for you. I've maxed out my credit cards. And you're asking other women for money too?" He stood up, and for the first time, I saw him for what he really was. Not the struggling entrepreneur I'd fallen in love with, but a man who had built his life around using women who cared about him. "Look," he said, "I never promised you anything. I never signed a contract saying I'd pay you back. You gave me that money because you wanted to. Nobody forced you." The cruelty in his voice was like a slap. This man who'd whispered sweet words about our future, who'd made me feel like I was his everything, was now looking at me like I was a business transaction that had gone bad. "Besides," he continued, "you act like you're broke, but you've got a good job. You'll be fine. Some of us have to be more creative about making ends meet." I left that night and didn't look back, but leaving was just the beginning of my real problems. Over the next few weeks, I discovered the full extent of the damage. Devin had somehow gotten access to my personal information and opened 2 credit cards in my name. My credit score had dropped dramatically. I owed thousands of dollars on cards I didn't even know existed. The financial devastation was real, but the emotional damage was worse. I felt so stupid. How had I let this happen? I was an educated, successful woman. I should have seen the signs. I should have known better. The shame was overwhelming. I couldn't tell my family what had happened. I couldn't face my friends who'd tried to warn me. I spent months trying to piece my life back together, working with credit agencies to dispute the fraudulent accounts, picking up extra projects at work to pay down the debt, living on ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches because I couldn't afford anything else. The woman who'd once been proud of her financial independence was now struggling to pay her rent, but slowly, things started to change. I began to see the patterns I'd missed, how Devin had isolated me from my support system by making me feel like they didn't understand our relationship. How he'd used my empathy and desire to be a supportive partner against me, how he'd made me feel special and chosen while he was running the same game on multiple women. I realized that my success had made me a target. Devin hadn't been attracted to my personality or my dreams. He'd been attracted to my steady income and good credit. He'd seen me as an opportunity, not as a person. The love I thought we shared had been completely one-sided. The healing process was long and difficult. I had to learn to trust my instincts again. I had to rebuild my relationship with my friends and family, admitting that I'd been wrong to push them away. I had to forgive myself for being vulnerable to someone who'd exploited that vulnerability. But here's what I learned. There's a difference between supporting someone you love and being used by someone who claims to love you. In a healthy relationship, both people contribute what they can, both people make sacrifices, both people work towards shared goals. What Devin and I had wasn't a relationship, it was a con game where I was the mark. I learned to recognize the red flags I'd missed, the way he'd made me feel guilty for having reasonable concerns, the way he'd isolated me from people who might have given me good advice, the way he'd always had money for things that mattered to him, but never for things that mattered to us, the way he'd made me feel like I had to prove my love through my wallet. It took me 2 years to fully recover financially, 2 years of working extra hours, living on a tight budget, and slowly rebuilding my credit, but I did it. I paid off every fraudulent account, disputed every unauthorized charge, and rebuilt my savings account. More importantly, I rebuilt my sense of self-worth. Today, I'm in a healthy relationship with a man named James who's never once asked me for money, who insists on paying his share of everything, who supports my dreams and ambitions without trying to profit from them, who makes me feel valued for who I am, not what I can provide. The difference is night and day. I'm sharing this story because I know I'm not the only woman who's been through this. I know there are other successful, independent women out there who have had their kindness and generosity exploited by men who saw them as opportunities rather than partners. I want you to know that it's not your fault. It's not a reflection of your intelligence or your worth. These men are skilled at what they do, and they specifically target women who have big hearts and strong work ethics. But I also want you to know that you deserve better. You deserve a love that adds to your life, not one that takes from it. You deserve a partner who brings something to the table, not one who just sits at yours. You deserve someone who sees your success as something to celebrate, not something to exploit. If you're in a situation like mine was, please listen to the people who care about you. Please trust your instincts when something feels off. Please remember that a man who truly loves you will never make you choose between your financial security and your relationship with him. Please know that your worth isn't measured by what you can provide for someone else. And if you've already been through something like this, please be gentle with yourself. Recovery is possible, healing is possible. Love, real, genuine, reciprocal love is possible. You are not broken, you are not stupid. You are not unworthy of real love because you believed someone who lied to you. If you're in a situation like this right now, please know that you are not alone and it is not your fault. Your worth is not measured by what you can provide for someone else. Drop a heart in the comments if this story spoke to you. Subscribe for more real talk about love, money, and knowing your worth. And remember, you deserve a love that adds to your life, not one that takes from it. Share this video with any woman who needs to hear this message. Until next time, keep your crown on and your standards high.